Welcome, at long last, to the mysterious Module 5 from Men and Masculinities. Congratulations to those of you who successfully solved the mystery of what movie we'll watch, The Big Lebowski. In this cult classic comedy, Joel Coen and Ethan Coen playfully, yet thoughtfully, critique multiple models of American masculinity, including the self-made man, the cowboy, and the detective, and question our society's conceptions of manhood. At this point, you might protest, yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man. Let me assure you, though, it's not only my opinion, my interpretation of The Big Lebowski. In the materials for Module 5, you'll find articles written by scholars from multiple disciplines, folks who have earned degrees from actual accredited colleges and universities, who agree that masculinity is one of the central concepts that Coens concentrate on in this influential film. At times, their questioning of American manhood is explicit. For example, relatively early in The Big Lebowski, the millionaire Jeffrey Lebowski, who is the Big Lebowski of the title, asks the dude seriously, "What makes a man, Mr. Lebowski? Is it being prepared to do the right thing, whatever the cost? Isn't that what makes a man?" To which the dude, not so seriously, replies, "Sure, that and a pair of testicles." Relatively early in Module 5, before we even watch The Big Lebowski, we'll use that not-so-serious response as a departure point for our own more serious attempt to answer the title character's question. That is, we'll put ourselves in the dude's seat for a second. However, we'll imagine that we are more serious, and less stoned, than he is when asked the question, "What makes a man?" And we'll also imagine that we have access to at least one of our readings for our Men and Masculinities class, because, well, we do. At this point in the semester, we've devoted multiple modules, full of readings, to influential forms of American masculinity like the self-made man, the cowboy, and the detective. And we'll find all those models of masculinity, as well as at least two other influential forms that we might call the war hero and the porn star, in this one movie. As the dude himself observes, at not one, but two points in the plot of The Big Lebowski, this is a very complicated case. So, when I ask you to look at the Coen's comedy through the lens of masculinity studies, you may feel a little overwhelmed by what the dude characterizes as a lot of strands to keep in my head, man. So, we'll first split up into three teams. One concentrating on content related to the self-made man, one concentrating on content related to the cowboy, and one concentrating on content related to the detective. Then we'll all contribute our respective suggestions of scenes or sequences to analyze and/or quotations to incorporate in our analyses of The Big Lebowski to a later threaded discussion. Finally, we'll weave all those strands together in our culminating writing assignments for Module 5. For our culminating writing assignment for Module 5, I'm offering you a choice. Specifically, you can choose either to write a more traditional college essay of approximately 1,000 words, or to create a less traditional alternative form of composition. You could choose, for example, to write another invented dialogue, to draw a sourced comic, or to record a video or audio podcast, perhaps something similar to a TED Talk. To work in the required references to The Big Lebowski, if you choose to write an essay, you want it to be better than Larry's paper on the Louisiana Purchase. And if you choose to create an alternative form of composition, you'll want it to be better than Marty's Dance Quintet, his cycle at the Fountain Street Theater. And that's almost all you need to know about Module 5 for Men and Masculinities. But before I get back to taking it easy, man, I'll leave you with one last quote from The Big Lebowski, and one last thought about its surprisingly lasting appeal. Later on in the film, the character of Walter reflects on his friend Donnie. He sums it up thusly: "Donnie was a good bowler and a good man. He was..." And if you just completed that line of dialogue by adding the words, "one of us," you might indeed be one of us. And by us here, I mean the American men who over the past 25 years have made the exchanging of lines of dialogue from, as well as dressing up as characters from, The Big Lebowski into a form of male bonding. Dennis Allen talks thoughtfully about that in his article, the provocatively titled Logjammin' and Gutterballs, Masculinities in the Big Lebowski. Ah, look at me. I'm rambling again. Well, I hope you folks enjoy yourselves while working on Module 5 in Men and Masculinities. Catch you later on down the trail toward the end of our semester together.